A very good morning to you. My name is Catherine Mwangi, and I am happy that you have found the time to join us this morning on Books and Blogs, right here on KTN Life and Style. We want to thank the management of Tamarind Tree Hotel for giving us permission to film at this incredibly beautiful place. My guest this morning is Roy Okonji, who is going to be speaking to us on the matter of debt. So if you know you've been living above your means, or you do not know how to manage the money that you have, whether it's little or much, this is a conversation I think you want to stick around and watch. So let's go meet him. Good morning.
Morning to you.
How are
guys.
you?
Fine, thank you.
Roy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having
Talking
me.
about debt.
Yes.
Your gift is in talking about money. And those who are not using it well enough, so they get into debt.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Debt is here with us. Debt
Okay.
is here to stay. And it's a concept that society has not been talking about. And it's a concept that is real, affecting real aspects of real people's lives. And so I felt there is need to begin to awaken the discussion around debt, that we need to talk about it because the effects of it are real. We face them every other day. These days we meet people talking to themselves on the streets. Yeah, so that is what I do, just to offer education on debt. I'm a debt management and life coach, motivational speaker and author.
How did you get into debt coaching or debt writing?
Wow, my journey in the world of debt is a bit interesting. I've got heavy inspiration that is twofold. Number one, I have a banking background in my past. And all my years in the bank, I served in different sections of the credit function. And it was while serving in those sections that I encountered the real effects of debt, right? There's a time I sold debt. So I know how lenders would package debt so that the borrower would see sense in taking up the debt, right? There's a time I processed debt. So I had borrowers come to my desk and make applications. And then I would begin to observe them. I would tell them to give us a week or two. They would call me the next day. I would be asking myself, what is happening? How come they cannot wait for the week or two, right? Then there was a time I would be a relationship person for SMEs. And I would also begin to observe how debt would crush businesses and how it would also elevate small businesses into big ones. And so this debt began to look like a gun, so to speak, like where you point it determines exactly what happens to you, right? So then I began to really question myself. I would observe guys coming for salary advance every other month, like it was a second salary.
Yeah.
And I would begin to wonder, what is happening around these people, okay? And there was a time I was a debt collector. Now, this is where I met the real effects of debt. This is when I started meeting the realities of debt cracking families in between. I would go to chase for debt, and that day would be the first day the wife of the house is realizing that the man is indebted to millions of shillings. And when she looks around, she can't see what they did with any million of shillings, right? I remember going to repossess a television set somewhere, and that was the day the husband of the house was also discovering that the wife was indebted. And so these become issues that are issues of concern to society. Before I left that homestead, the husband told me that that marriage was coming to an end that very moment.
What?
So then I would be forced to forget my banking job.
And become
Then I
a...
would find myself engaging them, just trying to see how then things can be fixed between the two of them and just to understand the depth of the debt thing. It was during that phase also that I met my first suicidal case. Met a guy who tells me I'm going to die. He borrowed and he has defaulted and he has been entangled into debt from left, right and center. He can't put a finger on what he did with any of the money. He has nothing to show for it. And the guy tells me, I thought the bank had forgotten. But now that you are here, I think the best option is for me to die. And I think he actually attempted. And then I would come back to the bank and tell the bank, kindly allow me to engage this guy from a personal perspective.
A human, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So from that humanitarian view, then this guy would open up. And then I would realize how deep that thing had gone. He would speak to me how he had borrowed money, taken the money to quick win schemes, hoping to get more money. That never happened. How he had borrowed money to just eat. And during that time, he was depending solely on debt. All his income had been committed, the entire of it. Now no one is willing to lend to him anymore. And the banks are here calling. So suicide was the only option.
Yes.
And so that forms part of my inspiration. I would get so much disturbed, but I didn't know that I was preparing myself for some future journey. All right? That is part A of the inspiration. Part B of the inspiration is my own story. All right? Because
It's
I've
a
had quite an
personal story.
encounter in the world of debt. When I got employed, no one taught me about money. And that is common in our African setting. We rarely speak about money. When I'm invited to speak to people, I like joking that we treat money like sex. All right? We don't want to talk about it. And the few who try to talk about money are comfortable saying that they don't have money. You know, it's easier to say sina pesa. Very easy, very, very easy, all right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I've argued that perhaps we need to change our money vocabulary. Because if you were money and someone has you, and this person needs to have a relationship with you, but they keep denying that they don't have you, then you would run away. Yeah, so perhaps our tendency of saying we don't have money
Yes.
every other time
Yes.
makes money run away from us, all right? So no one taught me about money. And so when I got into the job, I would use the notion that was available from my colleagues. They would tell me what to expect. But the first thing that I was told was that immediately I would be confirmed, I would get chance to borrow. Right? And this
Wow.
happens all over.
Yes.
And so I am working, but I'm being inspired by the fact that immediately I get confirmed, I
You're
will
entitled
borrow.
to a loan, yeah.
But I don't know borrow for what. Okay? So then I get confirmed. And pap, I borrow.
You didn't even have a reason for it.
I just borrow to furnish my house, just borrow to upgrade myself. You know, society has labeled bankers and certain people in certain professions in a particular way. So there are certain expectations.
Yes.
Right? And so when society is looking at me as this banker, they
You were a
already
banker then?
Yes, yes. So they're looking at me and having certain expectations.
Yes. Of
right?
where you need to live.
Yes, yes.
What
And
you
it,
need to be
and it was a
driving.
small town. No, Nairobi is sometimes even better because no one cares where you go after you leave work, right? And so in that small town setting, everyone seems to know you. On the road, everyone is like, oh, the banker. Hi, hi. And so I would borrow and furnish my house and just buy nice clothes and just want to feel nice and just want to upgrade myself.
Yes.
Now, when deduction started, then I would realize here is reality. All right? But then again, I didn't feel it. So I continued to live. Okay? Now then I would realize that after another 6 months, I would qualify for a car loan. I needed a car so badly to bring the image where it
Up to
ought
where
to
it
have
needs to
been.
be.
Right? And yes, I got the car and I was this flashy guy and I'm here. Life is moving. Now I look like the banker, what society is expecting. All right? But I didn't know the damage I was getting myself into. So in a short while, then I realized that I'm not able to really meet my daily upkeep. So I'm beginning to borrow quietly, right? I would exhaust the available options formally. Then I would get introduced to Shylocks,
Oh my goodness.
right? So then, because you have to make ends meet, you have to bridge between where the money has ended and the next end month. And so I would begin to call guys and, hey, sort me out here. Yeah, I am in trouble. And they would begin to sort me out. So that would continue for a long time. That would be the norm. I would see all my colleagues doing so. And so I knew that is how people roll.
Yes, yes.
But then, several years down the line, I think in 2013, something happened. In 2013, I had been transferred through several stations and I was now in Nairobi. Nairobi is a hardship zone, all right?
In what way?
Financially.
Uh-huh.
if people are employed and they're earning the same amount, one earning the same amount in a village setting and another one earning the same amount in Nairobi,
Well, yeah,
there's a
of
big
course,
difference.
yes.
So if I was struggling in the village and now I've been brought in Nairobi at the
Wow.
same salary, you may want to imagine,
Yes.
right? So in 2013, in my Nairobi office, a G4S guy walks into my office with a gift pack, well wrapped. And so I didn't know what that was, right? So then I unwrap, I get a thank you card. Someone is thanking me for being one of their most valued customers. Someone is thanking me for being the most trustworthy borrower, right? And so, but the package is still heavy. That is just the bag, the card. So then I continued to unwrap. Then I found a trophy. All right? This one here. I treasure it so much because that is where my transformation began. That is when my antennas got up high. Instead of smiling that I was being recognized for being
the most trustworthy borrower.
Yes. I began to ask myself, you mean you are being recognized for borrowing? And not just ordinary borrowing. This is expensive borrowing. And so now...
And this was from a bank?
No. This is from a Shylock. Do you know what it means for a Shylock to consider to award you? You know, for a Shylock, profit is key, isn't it?
I don't know. You're teaching me about Shylocks.
For them, profit is key. And these guys are tough, all right?
They're tough.
They're tough. They're mean-looking. Those are the descriptions of a Shylock.
Okay.
All right? You take money from them, you default, they are on your case. They want to repossess whatever it is they want to repossess.
There is no security when you're taking the money?
You see now, these guys love people in certain professions. When they lend to an ordinary person, they will ask for security.
Okay.
But when they lend to people like bankers, they know that in the banking fraternity, financial discipline is key. You could actually lose your job because of financial indiscipline. If you gave out checks that would bounce, then you begin to get warnings and you could go home. So they know that. So they love bankers. All you need to do is just do a post-dated check. Right? And so my eyes then get opened. And I'm like, this needs to stop. Yes, I had interest in debt, handling people, forgetting about the bank and engaging guys one-on-one and just wanting to help them. But I really didn't know what that was. So now in 2013, I've received my trophy. My eyes are opened. And then I say, this trophy is going to be the center stage of my life. I actually placed it on my desk.
You should place it here.
I know some of my former colleagues will be surprised. They never knew what it meant. It stayed there for long, for years, before I resigned. They would just come and think it's the bank that awarded me. They never knew what that was. They stayed there.
But
every morning I would look at it. I would get energized to work on myself. So I began studying debt. Yeah, unfortunately there are no books on debt. So I would just be Googling about debt. I would get articles here and there. Most of the stuff would be Western that may not be applicable locally.
And yes.
That was the time I began reading about money. That was the time I would start getting in touch with Robert Kiyosaki of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would begin to write to him and ask whether he has any book or any material on debt. And I remember they sent me some article on debt. I would look at it. I would try to apply it in my life to a certain extent. It was during that time that I came up with a certain formula. Then I would start taking myself through the formula. All through this time, I'm being invited to engage guys on issues of debt because I discovered my purpose in inspiring progressive change in 2013. So from then, I'll begin being a contemporary motivational speaker, just reawakening hope in people. Yeah, but I didn't see the role of debt. Okay, but I was doing that. There was a question I kept asking God: what is the relevance of me working in the credit department throughout my banking life? Because I'm a strong believer that in life, there is no portion of life that is irrelevant to your mission, right? Everywhere you go, whoever you meet, they have a role in your journey.
Very true.
So I wanted to understand what was the relevance of me being given credit roles. Everywhere I have served in the bank, I have tried all the other roles, but people would say credit. all right? So then much later, I'll begin to understand. Because I kept questioning myself, what is the role of this thing? So one day, in 2016 now, a friend of mine who runs a marriage enrichment platform invites me to engage couples on the effects of debt in marriage. So I ran the platform for the whole day. So by the end of the day, everybody's like, wow, debt consultant, this was great. And I would be like, why are they calling me a debt consultant? I was just doing it, okay?
Yes.
And so I went home thinking. Then a short time after that, my wife and I attended another marriage enrichment seminar as participants now. I was not facilitating. And there was an activity that was being run. And my wife was asked a question about me. What is this one thing that this guy is always readily available to help when called upon? And the other couples had known me from other areas. And so my wife said debt, but that was in private. Then they asked me the same question now in public. And me, I thought the answer was inspiration, so I was about to say inspiring guys. And before I could answer, all these other guys were like, come on, Roy, this is so obvious. I was like, what is obvious? I actually failed the question because I said inspiration. And everyone was like, no, debt, debt. So then I went home. And that is when the revelation came. A few days after that, I would then realize that, so I could actually inspire guys in the line of debt. There is no one teaching the borrower. All the lenders are hawking debt. I keep saying debt these days is being sold like mangoes. You wake up in the morning, your phone tells you your limit has been enhanced. Yep, and you thank God for an answered prayer. What was your prayer? All right?
Yes.
But no one is educating the borrower. So then I would decide, why don't I step in this space? Because I have a background, I have interest, I have experience.
Yes, you've gone through it.
I've gone through it. I have witnessed people go through it, every other aspect of it. So I would decide then, let me step in. Let me begin to educate the borrower, okay? Let me begin to train borrowers on what it is about, the debt is about,
yes.
All right? And then I would quit employment. The push was so serious. We did then step out and begin to work on this thing, right? So then I would disappear from the public scenes for about 3 months to work on the products around debt. Then I came back, having created enough content for training and for speaking, enough topics around debt,
yes.
Having gotten all the inspiration I wanted, having played back all my life tapes in the world of debt and things like those. Then I started something I call the debt clinic. I'm telling guys, look, you don't have to commit suicide. Just come, let's chat. Let me listen to you. Let me understand you. You've been there. Okay? Let me try to figure out how you can then begin your journey out of debt. So I would launch the debt clinic. That was early last year. We celebrated 1 year of the debt clinic in March, right? And so far, so good.
Wow.
Yeah, because the list is growing by the day.
Yes.
Of people who just come and I listen to them, created some tools that I use to help them really gauge themselves where they are and things like those.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that has become my world. I just speak debt.
So you found purpose.
I train debt. I'm just in my space.
Yes.
Yes, among other life skills.
Yes.
But debt is the main one. Debt was meant to ease in life, to make things a bit easier, to be a catalyst to wealth creation. But look at what debt is doing to people today.
It's killing them.
Today, the same debt that ought to have given people, to have afforded people sleep, is giving them sleepless nights. The same debt that ought to have made life easier has complicated it for majority of the borrowers. Okay? So my biggest question is, what happened? What went wrong? If this thing was as good as it was brought to us,
something broke
what
somewhere.
happened? Right? Then you begin to realize things went wrong the day we began to confuse debt for income. The day we began to look at debt as another alternative to earning, as a shortcut to getting money. The day we began to borrow simply because we qualified, not because we needed. I keep saying that you don't borrow just because you qualify or because there's a willing lender. You need to borrow because you need to, all right? And so that is when things began to go wrong. We started borrowing for consumption. And you see, when you borrow for consumption, the message you're sending home is clear, that you're living beyond your means, all right? It means that you're living your tomorrow today. So what are you going to do when tomorrow comes? You'll be in a bigger mess.
Yes.
You'll be in a bigger fix, all right? Now, I need to clarify here that debt is neither bad nor good in absolute terms.
Okay.
But what is absolutely bad is the trap of debt. When you get trapped in debt, that is when you begin to talk to yourself on the road. All right? Now, you see, the trap of debt has a way of affecting every aspect of life. There is a training I do, I call work-life balance. I call it work-life choices. And I divide life into 4 areas: your health, relationships, career, and finances. Now, the trap of debt has a way of eating into all these 4 aspects of life. And if you're not careful, then it could just render you a shell of a human being. All right?
Yeah.
Look at health. Health is mainly what you eat and exercise, diet and exercise, mainly. Now, when you're trapped in debt, needless to say, you're broke. Okay? Now, you will attend seminars on nutrition. They will teach you how to live a healthy life. You will write notes, you will nod. But when you get to your house, you face reality. Yeah? When you go to the supermarket and check the prices of the foodstuffs they have recommended, you begin to realize, this cannot happen.
Yes.
That is the time you start to give excuses. You begin to rationalize and say, you begin to remember how your grandfather lived for 100 years without testing any of those things they are referring you to. You begin to remember how many years you've lived and nothing has happened to you without using any of those. But it is not you speaking, it's the trap of debt speaking.
Trap.
All right?
Yeah.
Look at exercise. You will nod and you will acknowledge that it's good to exercise. But you know you cannot pay your gym subscription if you're trapped in debt.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
So you'll give excuses.
Yes, for a lot of things.
You'll give excuses.
Yeah.
The reality is that you do not have the funds.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think there's quite a lot to discuss with this topic.
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
And that is how the trap of debt begins to eat into you.
Okay.
So now then, I would sit and say, I may not be everywhere all the time. So let me pen down some of these things to educate the borrower. The book can get to where I cannot get.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And so,
so the books, where can people find the books?
Oh, the book is found at Chania Bookshop.
Okay, Chania Bookshop.
Chania Bookshop. But the easiest option is just to get in touch with us.
So why don't you give them your contacts or however they can get in touch with you?
Thank
Even
you.
for the debt clinic, by the way.
Yes. What they need to do is to either call, WhatsApp or SMS 0720 72 1972. All right? They can also visit.
Just repeat the number.
0720 72 1972. All right? They can also visit our website, www.focusuniversal.co.ke. They can also visit my blog, where we have more than 100 articles that you can benefit from, www.royokonji.com. www.royokonji.com. I have a Facebook page where we have inspiration every day.
Yes.
Roy Okonji, Inspiration and Debt Management. Roy Okonji - Inspiration and Debt Management.
So that's on Facebook.
Yes.
So Facebook, you have your blog, your website.
Yes. And then the number.
And the phone number.
Yes. So if you need the book, you just say you need the book.
Yes.
We deliver the book wherever the clients are.
I think it's prudent for us to have you again. I think there's a lot that we haven't covered. There's a lot we haven't covered, including, tackling why do people get in debt.
Yes,
I know there are reasons for that.
Exactly.
There's pressure from everywhere.
Yes. And even how to behave when you're in that fixed situation.
Yeah.
So
we'll definitely call you back. Today we had time for this half hour.
Thank you.
Then maybe there'll be another half hour. Yes, Isaac? There'll be another half hour. Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Roy.
you for having
I
me.
appreciate your time.
Thank you, thank
Very
you.
good speaker you are.
Thank you, I'm humbled.
So we take a quick commercial break. We thank the management of this incredible, beautiful hotel, the Tamarind Tree. It's located along Langata Road. Just as you turn to Carnival, you just go straight, it's there. Beautiful place. Thank you so much for hosting us. Brian Suma should be next with Beyond the Sport. If you need the details again of how to get in touch with Roy, just check on all our social media pages. We'll have listed them there. See you soon.
Ile siku mara ya kwanza ulipoingia katika ulingo wa taekwondo mashindanoni ilikuwa vipi?
Niliogopa. Niliogopa. Lakini unajua